We're ready, Mr. Jones.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. The Steamship Authority. I have to read this notice here, and I'd like to inform everyone that Falmouth Community Television, known as FCTV, and Sean Driscoll, the recordings of today's meeting. If there is anyone else making an audio or video recording of today's meeting, please identify yourself by pressing your hand on the Zoom dashboard, or if you are joining virtually, or if you are joining by phone, press *9 on your keyboard. And when you are recognized, please state your name and the name of the recording. Is there anybody else recording? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Devin Ankeny, the Falmouth Enterprise.
Jason.
Good morning, Jason Graziadei, Nantucket Current.
You.
Okay, moving further, pursuant to section 21 as amended, board members Maura Attorney and Peter Jeffries, good morning all, is
Morning.
participating remotely in today's meeting because of physical attendance. Board members Maura Attorney participating in the meeting by Zoom video conference app, and all members will be clearly audible to each other. As well? Maybe not. Peter, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Maura,
Yes, I can hear you.
can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. As a result of these members' remote participation in this meeting, and in any and all votes taken by members today shall be by roll call vote. So moving on, I would ask our General Manager, Bob, to read an announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, we need to begin today's board meeting on a somber note. On Thursday, August 15th, word was received of the passing of Deborah Larrabee. Deborah worked as a ticket seller at our Nantucket terminal since spring of 2022. She suffered a medical emergency while working on August 9th and passed away a few days later. Everyone's thoughts and prayers are extended to Deborah's family and friends, and I ask that you join me in a moment of silence in Deborah's memory. Thank you.
Okay, starting from the top, the approval of 16th.
Move the minutes.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? If not, roll call, starting with Rob.
Rainey, aye.
Jones, aye.
No.
Tierney abstain.
Jeffrey, I.
Okay, it is passed. Moving forward is the Port Council report of their August 6th meeting. Is there a representative from the Port Council here?
Yes.
Yes, hi Bob, Rob Munir here. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you fine, Rob.
Yes, good morning, everybody. A couple of things from the meeting earlier in the month. We had the usual management reports about the new vessels, about the website updates and the business summary. A couple of comments that I would say sort of characterize the Port Council on those topics. On the new vessels, I think the general sense is that doing it right is more important than doing quickly. And if it takes a little bit more time to deliver the vessels at this stage of the game, the Port Council would see that as prudent. On the website, I know we're working towards a revised date. I believe that the pushing out the delivery date was an early recommendation of the Port Council. There is, however, I think a bit of a sense of concern about the new date and about meeting that timetable. A little bit of a feeling while there was confidence projected in the report, there was a sense of concern. The next topic was the 2025 summer and fall schedules. They were approved by the Port Council 5-1. Really the main point of discussion, not surprisingly, was the 5:30 boat from Falmouth. And that continues to be a major issue for Falmouth, and is the reason why I was the one dissenting vote in the approval of the schedule. I think my one point, this is me personally speaking, is that we maybe have an opportunity to rethink this with the new boats being delivered, and should look at our overall delivery holistically. The next topic that we covered was the 41 North freight service. There was a lot of discussion. There had been discussion in previous months. The concerns of the members from Oak Bluffs and Vineyard Haven were aired. But in the end, the Port Council voted unanimously in support of the 41 North license. There was a couple of conditions. One was a 24 hours notice. Another was that all staging would take place on steamship property only. There would be a maximum of 1 trip a day, although we recognize that we're probably talking 1 to 2 trips a month, and that there would be an opportunity to revisit the license on 3 months' notice. So that's a high-level summary of the Port Council meeting, and I do just want to say I think the Port Council, we have a full house now. All our seats are full, and I think they're very diligent about doing their job. That's my report. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Muni, at the Port Council regards to the 41 North was the conditions that they wanted to have was that there'd be a requirement that 41 North provides at least 24 hours advance notice, that the staging would be on steamship property, maximum of 1 trip per day, and also the ability to revisit the license on a 3 months notice. So.
Is there anything about the use of, Rob, was there a condition that had to do with Oak Bluffs?
Those were the 4 conditions that we attached to our approval that Bob just recited. And I thought I had just recited before that. So if it wasn't clear that
you were fading in and out during your report. That's why I may have missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Bob just summarized the 4 conditions that we attached to our approval.
Proposal
nothing's-
that when Oak Bluffs is open, that would be a facility that they could use. Yes.
That they would use.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Rob? If not, thanks the Port Council for the good work. Have a good day, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to the General Manager's report.
All right, so first off, we want to provide an update on service and on staffing, so I'll ask Mark Higgins and Janice to lead us through that.
Morning, everyone. All right. So this first slide is a snapshot of some of our over the course of the past year. Over 21 fairs were attended, whether that be vocational high school, Cape Cod from Mass Maritime, we were able to recruit 6 cadets this summer and 4 cadets from Maine. And Joe Russes continues his work going across the country, visiting SUNY, California Maritime, and Texas A&M. Career fairs that we attended, the one on the left, I know it's hard to see, but that was at the Martha's Vineyard High School. And that particular day was a weather day, so I was unable to attend, but we had members from the Martha's Vineyard, the Vineyard Haven Terminal, stepped in to help with that day, which was just a true sign of teamwork. And some of the other schools, Upper Cape Regional, Old Colony, New Bedford, Cape Cod Community, and we're also involved with the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. The local schools, Falmouth, Fairhaven, New Bedford, the Down Cape at Dennis Yarmouth, Bourne, Barnstable, Middleborough, and Wareham. And then on the right, you'll see that, as I mentioned earlier, the Maritime Academies, Maine, Mass, SUNY, Northeast Maritime, California, and Texas A&M. Is that better? Okay, next slide, please. So the 2024 new hires, we hired over 110 employees. You can see that the vessel we had all across the parking lots, the shore side, as well as the terminal locations. So we're definitely, I have to really provide kudos to the teams for really getting out there and helping at these career fairs and these vocational schools and the maritime academies. The work that we put in attending those, where we definitely saw some results this year.
Excuse me a minute, Janet.
Yes.
Janet, I'm getting texts from people who are remote, and the transmission is cutting in and out, as we heard with Rob.
Oh, okay.
And so, Sean, maybe somebody could look at that.
Janice, I think if you're turning that way, you need
I
the
don't-
microphone.
Yeah, I'm not,
Let's try. Is that better?
no,
No, I'm
to
just
me,
if
it's,
they-
it's people who are texting me who are not here.
Okay. Next slide, please. So the 2024 departures and retirements, as you can see, we had about 38 folks who left the organization from the admin, the vessels, and across the shore side as well. Next slide, please. So this is a snapshot of the vessel staffing levels. As you can see, this number with is a total of 262 actual and 255 budgeted vessel employees across the organization. So as far as the maritime academies, this here is the class of 2023 from Mass Maritime. There were a total of 325 graduates. Out of that, almost 25% were from marine transportation and little over 32% for the marine engineering. Next slide, please. 2024. Thank you. So for 2024, you'll see there were graduates of 300 at Mass Maritime, and the numbers are declining in those, the marine transportation as well as marine engineering. Next slide, please. And Maine Maritime is showing the same results. They had a total of 250 graduates in the class of 2024, and their numbers with the marine transportation and marine engineering are also declining. Are there any questions for me?
It seems to me that crew shortages have been a major issue for us, even after cutting our schedule, given that we were looking at crew shortages,
Mhm.
that serious issues, not only with retention. And I was wondering what more might we be doing in terms of potentially looking at providing housing, workforce housing in the Cape and the islands to keep people and attract people. I know the 2023, a workforce housing proposal where there are cheap houses, cheap to construct housing that can be done within local zoning, both in Falmouth and in towns on the island, to permit you to put 4 or so employees or 6 employees into one unit. that these things can be made fairly economically, and that might be worth looking at. So I'd appreciate that.
Mhm.
The work that I've done over the past month and looking at this, everybody in the aviation industry and the marine industry is looking at shortages, is looking at the issues of getting people to work. We clearly are all fishing in the same pond here for people to come to work. So I really think anything we can think of to deal with this situation, I for one would be very, very supportive.
Unfortunately, it's a universal problem.
Mhm.
Yes, well,
So one of the things that we have been doing, so along with our Marine Operations Office, had approached Mass Maritime about getting the cadets to be coming to work for us in the summertime as they need. So as part of that, Mass Maritime has been offering housing for the cadets during the summer season if they're coming to work for a approved one of them. So I think last year we had 10 cadets that went through that program. And this year, as Janice pointed out, we had there were six of them. There was an additional 4 that came down from Maine Maritime. I know Joe Russis, following his trip to Cal Maritime, came back. There was 4 cadets. Unfortunately, by the time that was determined, there was trying to find housing for them was an issue as well. So, but we continue to try to work with the academies, whether it's Mass Maritime, Maine Maritime, or, as I said, we there's 6 different academies that we end up going to, and we went to Texas A&M, which is one of the bigger schools.
Martha's Vineyard Commission Workforce Housing Proposal Report, and I'd be happy to share it with you and with the board to take a look at to see if it makes any sense for us to pursue. And I also know that they'd be willing to come and talk at a workshop or directly with management at any time it's convenient.
okay. Any further questions for Janice?
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Peter.
Chair. I guess in terms of the 50 vessel hires, have we done any kind of entrance interview with them to see what attracted them to the steamship? I have a series of questions, so I'll ask them and then I'll let you answer. It's so, what is attracted to them to the steamship to onboard with us? The next question would be, at what level are those 50 vessel hires coming in? Are they coming in as ordinary seamen, able-bodied seamen? And then with the 13 vessel departures, what level are those departures coming out? And then what is the timeline, I guess the average timeline as well as the accelerated timeline of onboarding someone as a able-bodied seaman and getting them to a pilot or captains? Because it seems to me that our main issue has been the licensed deck officers' departure in staffing our boats. And I'll defer to you now to answer those questions.
Okay. So as far as meeting with the new hires to talk about what attracts them to the Steamship Authority, the most often it really is, it's about the opportunity there's obviously not a lot of vessel organizations within our area. So that's something that's when they graduate from the maritime academies, once they finish there, if they do go out to deep sea, coming shoreside is an important employees who are wishing to start a family or just have had enough time out to sea. So that's typically what we find that attracts the most to this Steamship Authority, as well as their reputation. Either an OS or an AB level, there are times that we'll bring in a mate, and I'll let Mark can speak to that. At the OB or the OS or the AB level. And as far as the departures, the vessel departures, it really is a range of, some of them are retired. Some of them have just left due to, maybe it wasn't the right fit for them. Or there's other opportunities that they started to pursue, but there's really a mix of what makes people leave the Steamship Authority, as with any other organization.
Peter, as
Eh.
far as as far as a pipeline coming in, we've talked about our pilot program that we've run the last 2 years. We've had it previous years, but specifically we set up classes the last 2 years with Northeast Maritime for people to go and do that program. We've had 20 right now we have about 6 people that have completed all the training. Other people are in various modes of testing, drawing their charts, and just in progress there. And we're looking at doing another 10-person class this off season. We did an AB class earlier this year, outside of our normal schedule, to get another 10 ABs in. We did 25 people over last winter. So we are trying to expedite the number of to bring them in. Right now it's not, you can't sugarcoat it. It's been a really tough 30 days here, with mechanicals we had, and then, the crewing, compounds that, on top of that, because in the past we've been able to take a spare boat, have a delivery crew. We haven't had that availability to do that this year. So that's kind of compounded the issues that we're having. You know, earlier Jim talked about housing. I know, like at Maine Maritime, they just started a program for contractor to have people go in and train for several months and be paid to train, and then go be apprentice. Washington State has worked with My Tags. They had a class of 10 kids, the 10 people they brought on this year, and those 10 people will go program. When they're done with that, they're hired as an AB, and as soon as they're hired, they go in and they can then go start their Washington State Ferry. So that's essentially what our pilot program is doing internally, instead of going externally for that. Look at the numbers from the maritime academies, it's concerning. Not just here, for industry wide. When I graduated from Maine Maritime, we had over 100 engineers graduate that year, and now, you know, it's 70. And when you look at the 3-year decline at Mass Maritime and the marine transportation, they had, I believe, 109 kids, and, you know, there's 72 kids, 5% reduction in people going into marine transportation. And that's partly why the academies have diversified, and they offer programs in facilities management and things like that, so that, but there just are not enough people going into this industry.
If I could, just one technical thing, I guess, the internet lag is getting quite worse with the communication coming through Zoom. The Hyannis terminal, when you're speaking, kind of lags out after every 10 seconds. So I've been able to follow the conversation, but there's been some hard pauses throughout. And then just a non-technical question to follow up. Given the what's going on in the industry and our hiring efforts, where do you anticipate our staffing will be in backfilling our departures and retirements next year and the year moving forward? Will we be able to meet our staffing goals under the proposed schedule that's coming out today?
Well, the proposed schedule that's coming out today is the reduced schedule that we're running this summer. So I do believe that we have addressed that. I also just looking at the rosters and sorry, when you look at the roster that, you know, the number of people that are at a retirement age level, that is concerning that right now for next year. I'm hoping that we can try. And I will say I'm 100 real confident, but I'm hopeful that with the pilot training classes we've done, and you know, we've had 2 new captains come onto the roster. We have another one that'll be on the roster in November. We have a captain departing in September that you know, we maintain that level.
Jim,
Janice, how many licensed deck officers do we have retiring next year and then the following year?
I know that
There's
There's-
no one's announced any retirements. I could tell you coming into this year, I knew that we were gonna have one person retire in September. And then we wound up having 2 more retirements. We had one person retire in June and one person in early August from a captain.
Okay, but we
position.
have no made us aware of that.
No,
not that I'm aware
no,
of,
no one has announced to put in paperwork that they are
Okay.
retiring.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they can't change their mind.
Right.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay, any further
Uh,
questions? Bob,
One
Will,
follow,
Peter?
just one follow-up question. How many of our licensed deck officers at the pilot and captain level are eligible for an immediate retirement beginning next year?
I'd have to look at the roster.
So right now, I think it's 7 out of the 57 are 64 or above. And one of those is there's that are 64 or above. Then there's a little bit of a gap and a year or 2 gap, and then we have a couple others. So just to add some context here, we did go back and look at, 17 of the individuals that are on the captain's pilots roster are academy graduates. So graduates. Starting in the fall of 2017, we started our training program in any promotion training that had to be done was done at the employee's expense. They had to do their own time. They didn't get paid for it. And, and we recognized that we needed to start working on growing the next group. And so since then, since 2018, we have 60, we've added 16 pilots to get their mates, as Mark pointed out, that they're in this last training class. Also, we've had 14 in some of those pilots. Also, there were 14 captains that have been added to the roster since starting with 2018. 7 of them which were on the roster prior to 2018, and 7 of them just joined the roster since 2018. So I think we've been kind of oscillating back and forth between the roster. I think, as I said, we have 57 on the roster right now. In 2013, there was only 54 on the roster, but there was more, there were more more of those individuals were qualified as a captain than we have today. But we've had, since 2013, 18, a third of those have retired, just in the past 6 years. So we recognize that there's we need to continually work on getting people. I think Mark and Janice and fleet operations, Joe Russis, is very active in going to the academies to try to get people. And I think with the training program that we have in the place here now to be getting the people to be able to move up. It's not just to the captains, to the pilots and captains roster, but we had 20 individuals go to class this past fall to go from an ordinary to a able-bodied seaman. I think some of this this isn't something that is there's a lot of seat time requirements. These positions, the most recent individual that ended up getting qualified for us as a captain, that person, it took, I'm just trying to find her name here. It took about 5 years, 6 years for her to move along through the ranks, and that's because she came out of the academy with a portion of her seat time already completed. So it is a lengthy process. We recognize that, and that's why we continue to try to add this skin in the game in these trainings. So.
I'm glad you said that, because it seems to me, and I'm doing this on top of my head, and I'm not very good at math, but we've got 7 people who are in the ability. I'm old enough I can walk now if I'm ready to go. So that's like 12% or 10% of our workforce could, if they are unhappy or decide or get told it's time to retire, could walk away. So everything that we can do, that's a big percent. Everything we can do to get people and trained and up and ready and recruited, retained is really, really going to be.
Is that in terms of the training, we want to make sure that our pilots and captains are trained on all of our vessels. And the fact that we're now going to have 3 vessels that are the same, that will speed that process up, that now that, they can train on 1 boat and they'll be able to be qualified on 3.
The similarity of the new vessels is fabulous and is exactly what we need. And we've heard, I'm sure all of you have heard of people complaining, well, yeah, you got me on a boat, but it was a smaller boat and it only took half as many cars as the one that was canceled. So similar boats, similar capacity is very, very important for us. Thank you.
As soon as Janice informs people that they have to have a pre-employment drug test, that turns a lot of candidates off.
Thank you.
The end of the meeting, I'm sorry. Okay, moving forward.
Right.
Robert,
Update on the progress on the Quinner and now the Monomoy. So I think Mark A was on there earlier.
Good morning, everyone from Alabama Shipyard.
morning, Mark.
Give you an update on the Aquina and Barnstable conversion project. We'll move into slide 1. Barnstable is complete. Got all the coatings have been done, engine testing. We are awaiting confirmation. We did a incline test earlier in the month, and we're waiting for the results of the testing before we commence the sea trials part of it. Wanted to show you some other slides. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the port bow. Everything is completed. Next slide. These are the new quarter panel boards. Obviously had a change from the previous names. Next slide. This is the bridge. This has come out beautiful the way we had hoped it would be. This allows for much greater visibility for the captains and pilots. It's been designed by our captains and pilots and complete. Next slide. This is a view of the after deck complete. Next slide. And this is a view of the from the stern to the seeing the superstructure pilot house complete. Next slide. Just wanted to we had done just wanted to bring a slide up. So the stability test, this was built a 30-foot pendulum, which is used when we show you the next slide of the weights, where we move weights to measure the amount of list on the vessel. And if we can move to the next slide. So we placed 50 long tons of blocks centerline, and we moved them to various position as per our stability test for the, as outlined by the US Coast Guard. And that is complete. We're just waiting for, they have all the numbers in Washington, and they're right now finishing the stability. Next slide. So the milestones to date, power up complete, engine starts complete, mechanical accommodations complete, incline test waiting results. We're in a testing mode with US Coast Guard right now. Anticipate the sea trials week of the 26th, but that's depending on the stability review, and we expect to hear more upon next week, and that's what we're waiting for at this point. Next slide. So today we're at for the two projects, the original contract value with 13.7 million. We have 2.5 million in change orders for the Barnstable and 2.7 for Quina. And this does not include the credits supplied yet.
You're breaking up, Mark.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so the original contract value for each of the Barnstable and Quina respectively is 2.7 million. We have 2.5 million for the Quina and 2.7 for the Barnstable. Not inclusive of credits which have not been applied. I believe maybe we've had 1 or 2 credits that have applied, but we're anticipating in excess of 600,000 per vessel in credits. And that's the financial status of the project. Any questions?
Any questions? No, or next?
Okay, next, it's a busy time here. I believe the MV Monomoy project. Let's went to the next slide, please. So the vessel's been towed over to Alabama Shipyard, and yesterday the vessel was docked, and we are right now in the process of transferring the vessel onto a barge with the SPMTs, the multi-wheel vessels, and we anticipate getting that up on dry dock this afternoon. Next slide, please. And this is the vessel arrived at the shipyard. She doesn't look quite as pretty as the other two. Next slide. So she departed from Houma, Louisiana on the 7th, arrived Alabama Shipyard on the 9th. Total distance 258 nautical miles at 4.9 knots. And she is on schedule as docked on the 19th. Any questions?
Any questions? You can go forward.
Thank
Thank you, Mark.
you very much.
All right, next, we have an update on the website, so.
If you can start with the next slide, please.
So we are in the final phase of this website project, one deemed the program governance phase. And program governance came about as a result of a decision made by the steamship back in April after the last launch had been stalled, which was scheduled for April. The board had approved on April 23rd website stress and performance testing and platform evaluation. This phase is a cross-functional team made up of steamship employees covering what was 3 and now 5 departments: IT, accounting, reservation office, marine operations, and starting tomorrow, HR, and 4 different vendors. The reservation vendor, which is Sabre Technologies, iMark, Stellar Elements, Sabre Technologies, which is the reservation system vendor, and iMark, which is the current reservation system vendor. If you wouldn't mind, next slide, please. This provides you a project. It started on July 8th and 7th. So we have roughly 6 weeks left in the project. I would like to say that we are confident, and Mr. Munier is correct. We are, there's always a concern for a late September presently. And that we took proactive measures in April to put this program governance in place. It has taken to get to a point where the project itself was in good enough shape to introduce IntraSystems into the model. So with that amount of time just to get them involved, you can understand, I hope, that there remains concern about a September, October timeline. But nonetheless, we do have confidence. I don't think there are any more. If you would allow me, address some concerns that were raised at the last board meeting. So one of the questions was, most of the traveling public has issues with reservations. What will the new website do to help the traveling public aside from aesthetics and performance? Consistent with its ability, the needs of the traveling public, with the website, essentially having parity between the new website and the current website. But I don't believe aesthetics and performance should be overlooked. With an intuitive time, it will certainly save the customers a considerable amount of time and reduce frustration. There's a fully functional and which makes the site far more accessible and useful to many more people. Secondly, This will allow customers to make reservation during the summer reservation system, summer general opening season. They will not have to wait in a waiting room, which is in public. And additionally, they'll be able to make reservations on both islands simultaneously, which they are not allowed to do today. Another concern that was brought to my attention the board members about not being able to get reservations when there seems to be space on boats, and about the reservations department's difficulty meeting demand. Challenges that impact the customers and employees. And it is true that those challenges are not addressed with the introduction of the new website. But the question asked was, of concern is that these issues are not addressed, only be remedied by addressing the reservation system itself. And I believe that that answer is yes. Third concern brought up by Mr. Jeffrey was reservation office should not be asked to do one more thing. Technical support of the new website is not something they should be expected to do. Is there a post-launch training and support plan, and what assets are needed? Will there be support outside of reservation office hours? So we believe we'll be core functions outside of making reservations. That would be, for example, logging in, resetting a password, looking up a PIN. Anything reservation related will get passed on to tier 2, which will be the reservation office itself. The question at this point still remains, will tier 1 be internal? Will be made shortly enough. I want to make for customer calls related to the new website, but that was done quite a while ago, and we anticipate that happening a second time. In addition, there are how-to videos online for the general public, and the answer to the extended hours are yes, it is expected. Another concern was where are we in terms of planning specific to the new website once we move to a new reservation system? Are we planning for plug and play and without impact to the traveling public? So the new website will certainly have a vastly improved look that will remain in use well into the future. The options afforded us are an API integration, iframe code segment, which is kind of just a tear code out, put code. Option 1 and 2, which is the API or the iframe, would be considered plug and play and should not impact the traveling public. Option 3, however, would impact the traveling public and should only be considered if the new website never becomes a reality. The one individual who built the reservation Steamship Authority is dependent upon the current reservation system and the one individual who built it, and will be for a few more. Can't be introduced differently than they have been in the past. With the right resources in place, highly focused and impactful improvements can be introduced that work around the current architectural limitations. And utilize an entirely separate code base. All the while, the dated monolithic code base can remain in place and operational, but it will require funding. Are we going to keep chasing our tail to get the website done, given our dependence on a reservation system that is not working to the best advantage of the steamship? It is plausible that the reservation system should have been the focus of the last 3 years and not the website. But that doesn't change the fact that we're nearing the end of a project that's consumed considerably more resources than expected for far too long, namely time, personnel, money, and opportunity. Things in which the steamship authority can extend the life expectancy of the current reservation system allows us to better address the issues that matter most to our business and to our customers. Finally, why aren't we just waiting for? As I said that day, customers will not get to experience the benefits of the new website that I mentioned earlier. And they are intuitive interface, faster. No waiting room during the general opening, and able to make reservations on both islands simultaneously during the general opening. And thirdly and lastly, any future improvement initiatives that rely on the launch will be jeopardized. I certainly am open to any questions you gentlemen have. In Moira, sorry.
Steve, thank you.
Of course.
The acoustics in this room, and I have hearing aids and I still can't.
Seems to be a common theme between you and I.
Go ahead, Jim.
Steve, thank you. Thank you for answering a number of the questions that I raised.
Of
What you just read.
You got it.
A foundational question for me and for others, I think, is in terms of a new reservation system, why can't we source something that's already built, something that exists, and bring that into play?
We can. It's just going to take time. We anticipate at least a 3-year timeline.
With
Nothing
an
is
off-the-shelf reservation system?
so. The rules for the steam requirements, technology requirements that are getting thoroughly vetted presently. Even with that in mind, even with all the work that's gone into it, with all the workflow, we still anticipate a near, if not time.
So that's 3 years from the date we decide upon an off-the-shelf system?
I would recommend, given with the allocations as they stand today, I would definitely recommend continuing investing in what we have today to improve customer satisfaction with the full knowledge that we will be going to a new system.
Okay, I'll reserve my follow-up question.
Any further? Not. Sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
I would just follow up with Jim Malcolm's question, Steve. What resources would you need allocated to you to speed up those 3 years?
We are presently in the process of hiring a select number of IT resources to fill voids that exist today. Project management, very technical staff, which I think we have that we're currently engaged with as part of the program governance project. I think it would be in the best interest of the organization to see how this project goes, how well it goes within the next month or two. Determination if we want to further invest in that company and their resources. At this point in time, I am very impressed with their capabilities. They're very in their examination of processes and procedures. And the goal is get the website online and then get finalized, all the load testing finalized, I'm sorry, finishing up with the launch of the website and then automating everything we've done thus far. We still have a considerable amount of work to do. I think some of the issues that plague the steamship presently. And yeah, that's it.
I mean, from my point of view, this needs to be a priority of the authority, and whatever the board can do to make sure that that happens, I'm in favor of.
We will.
When you talk about the 3 years, which makes me nervous based on experience I've had with it, are very complicated. But if we were to find something off the shelf and provide those off the shelf packages also staffing for implementation?
I can.
I think that's worth considering. Thanks, Ford.
Of course.
Thank you.
But I would like to add, off the shelf, you may not get what you want. We've already interviewed. Will not change. We do have to do our due diligence to make certain that the business model as it exists today isn't all board, the Port Council, the general travel.
But what we did hear from Innis at our last, it's not the business model, but there are that we're going to have to modify as well, as accommodating some of them and modifying some of them. That he was concerned about the amount of time that would take.
Absolutely. Management.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is kind of moving a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
We have a certain way. Alterations throughout the organization is difficult.
I'm not suggesting otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Complicated subject. Moving forward, Robert.
All right, so next we have an update on the Woods Hole Terminal Reconstruction Project, and Sean is being brought over.
Everyone hear me?
We can hear you. Can't see you.
Morning. I don't know why I had it on. Anyways. Hey, can I go before Steve next time? I know it's been a couple months since I've been on here, but we had a meeting with the town of Falmouth it says 8/8, but it was last Thursday, actually. They were concerned, I think their main concern was us unloading, going up Railroad Ave instead of Cowdrey. I don't know if Bob, you want to speak on this, but I think, it's gonna be conditional. We're gonna have to use Railroad Ave, and not all the time, but I think, I'm not sure why the town of Falmouth's getting involved again, because everything's been approved. But
So if I may, some of the town officials, there was a select board member, town manager, police chief, and people from the engineering department. They're looking at a pilot project for the traffic circulation in Woods Hole, in particular on Water Street, in front of the post office and the spills over to Luscombe and Railroad Ave. They were the ability for us to have traffic circle back across the property and up Cowdrey Road, and publicly presenting for close to 11 years now. It's designed, the buses come through, drop off, and then would be going up Railroad Ave, as they've been doing for decades. There's been a lot of compromises that we've already done in terms of the project, but we do have concerns about pedestrian vehicle safety, trying to minimize as much that is possible, and to have all those vehicles then circle back around over crosswalks and things like that. It creates even more hazards, but we'll continue to talk with the town about talked about. I know following that there was a discussion about, well, if we had more check-in booths, and lo and behold, the plans that we have been presenting all along have multiple check-in booths down at the base of Cowdrey, and then also one inside the lot. So we've been trying to respond. We'll continue to talk with the town, but I think there's the concern about the bike path, and that's why we changed the plan from having the bike path go all the way down to the waterfront to have it go down to along the hill there, to try to minimize some of those conflicts. It's a one-way street. We don't want the bikes. We'll continue to meet with the town and discuss. And I know Peter attended the meeting away than what I did, but we'll continue to work with the town. But we do have our own concerns, and this has been something that has been as part of this process all along, is the traffic circulation. It's been illustrated, and for the traffic circulation is so.
Okay. Any
right.
further questions? Where are we?
next slide. This one's one we're just finished excavating the site, and we're placing stone, and you'll see the the footing formations ongoing here. This is we place a stone, got the footing formation, the formwork going, we got rebar placement. Next slide, please. This is our first pour. We're pouring the utility building foundations. Next slide, please. This is the pour after this, the first one. This is the second pour. You can see up in the right-hand corner, we're doing the 5'8" slab up there with a mass slab. That's where where the elevator pit is. Next slide. This is just the prep. We're after the second pour there, we're forming foundation walls. You see the rebar going up. We're backfilling the excavated area already. Next slide, please. This is last pour we did last week. We're pouring the first utility building walls, which they're 16 feet tall. And that's basically the top of the second floor. Next slide. Financials, we're pretty much on schedule. I've gotten some credits. I had to put that stone under there. We had some unforeseen conditions we excavated, but I did get some glass credit going to a thinner glass without testing, which is not custom. So we're doing pretty good. We're only, I mean, it's only 0.05%, but it's below cost, so, which is good. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay. Oh. Okay, well, thank you.
I'll just point out that we continue to provide updates. This last count, I think, we were at 245 emails that we've sent out, for this for this project, to anyone who had subscribed to those. So.
Well, this has been a long, cumbersome project, and from the different renovations of where things should be and how they should be. Members of the town, it was certainly well vetted. It's absolutely the best and that can happen, but at this point here, I think it's been pretty well vetted, but we got to continue to and see what we can do for harmony. Moving on.
Thank you, everyone.
Summer. Oh.
Wow. I'd like to say good morning, I think. It's been one of those mornings already, so. All right. I'm here to present the late spring, summer, and fall 2025 operating schedule, which runs from May 15th of 2025 to January 4th of 2026. Back in March, the authority placed advertisement in regards to the 2025 operating schedule. That schedule at the time was for January 4th to January 4th, 1 year, and was also posted on the website. On April 29th, the authority received a petition signed by 82 Massachusetts residents, primarily residents of Falmouth. The 5:30 a.m. departure from Woods Hole. They stated multiple negative health impacts, and they also are now against the 5:30 departure leaving the vineyard, stating the same reasons. On May 7th, we held a public hearing regarding the 2025 operating schedule. The Nantucket comments were for an increased number of trips during the winter and spring schedule, but the majority of the comments were against the 5:30 a.m. departure in both directions. The report issued under Section 15A of the Authorities Enabling Act is also included in your packets. Our late spring schedule starts 2 days earlier and ends 1 day later. The same boats as in 2024. There's no change to the trip times, quantity, number of trips, or the vessel crewing. Staff will be keeping an eye on allocations in the loading process of the new freight boats because they'll primarily be running on the Hyannis route, and that could change other freight boats around too, once we get a better idea of how the allocations are going to shake out on those boats. 9th. It starts one day earlier and ends 4 days later than 2024. Again, we're going to be running the same schedule that we did currently this year. So we're proposing a 4-boat schedule as opposed to the 5-boat schedule that we originally came. The only significant change that anybody will maybe notice will be on the Nantucket route. For trips 302, which is the 8 a.m. off island, we're changing Friday. So we can either have trucks or make it a mixed load for the island residents that need to go back and forth. 9th to October 21st, it starts 4 days later and ends 1 day earlier. Again, no changes to the times, quantity, and number of trips in the vessel crewing. The fall schedule is October 22nd to January 4th of 2026. It starts 1 day later and ends 1 day later. Again, no changes to trip times, quantity of trips, or vessel crewing. The INO would start 1 day later and end 1 day later than in 2024. No changes to times, quantity, and number of trips or the vessel crewing. But due to staffing requirements, we're still going to be evaluating the possibility of triple crewing for the summer and fall schedule. The Port Council at their August 6th meeting voted 6-0 to recommend the approval of the Section 15A report. And then the Port Council voted 5-1 to recommend the approval of the 2025 operating schedule. Any questions?
Just one note, for the record, I got a text from Luki Suno from the MB Times. He's recording the meeting now.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I have no questions, but I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I recognize that the 5:30 departure from Woods Hole is a concern to, I think you said 83 petitioners.
82.
82 petitioners from the town of Falmouth, or the village of Woods Hole, and I've been aware of this in the 4.5 years I've been doing this. What I did this year was contact by the 5:30 a.m. departure from Woods Hole to the Vineyard for their the box trucks that come over on that. The survey that I did basically said, we need those early trucks to get off the street, to get goods on our shelves in the summer, because we do not take these trucks and take them into terminal facilities. They actually stop on the main streets in the middle of our tourist season, unloading off of the main streets. For that reason, despite my sympathy for the issue of the support the schedule as proposed, I would also concern for the 5:30 departure from Vineyard Haven that's been raised. I have heard no one on Martha's Bay about that 5:30 trip, including people who live right next to the authority. So thank you.
It is very similar to the 5:30 and the 6:30 a.m. trip from Hyannis to Nantucket.
Right.
It has the multi-stop trucks that need to be able to park at certain restaurants. The traffic gets on the roads.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, if I can make a comment?
Peter, go.
First, perhaps we should try to schedule this closer to February, these conversations near Groundhog Day, because I think that would be more appropriate after every year. Because it seems like Groundhog Day every year when we discuss these schedules. I mean, obviously the 5:30 ferry becomes a concern. It remains a concern for the town of Falmouth. We feel exceptionally burdened by trying to make the traffic lighter on Martha's Vineyard. The traffic's heavier on our roads in the morning. And for all the reasons Rob Munier gave earlier, I'll be voting against the schedule on the 5:30 ferry. That being said, I still have a concern that given the last 30 days of running the schedule that's being reproposed again, that it's aspirational and not practical given our staffing levels. We haven't been able to run this schedule, and I think reliability goes longer with the traveling public than a schedule that seems aspirational. So I'm very concerned still, even though we talked about staffing earlier, about our ability to meet this schedule as it's proposed, given our current staffing levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And that the members vote to, first, to approve the report issued under Section 15A of the Authorities Enabling Act on the Nantucket Steamship Authority as presented, and then to approve the proposed 2025 operating schedules for both Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard routes covering the period May 13th, 2025 through January 4th, 2026 as presented.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
It's been moved that we approve the schedule. Is there a
Second,
roll call vote, starting with Rob?
Randy, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm and I.
May I ask, are we voting on the schedule or are we voting on the 15A report? The motion's for the schedule, correct?
So, what do
You need to approve both, so
I would-
whether,
But the motion before us is on the schedule, is that
Okay.
correct?
on the schedule.
My error.
Okay,
Jeff-
let's see if we can get a clear motion.
so the 15, Section 15A of the Authorities Enabling Act as presented.
Okay, that's moved,
Second.
seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Are we voting on the 15A report now?
Correct, the 15A report.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm and I.
Jeffrey, I.
Tierney, I.
Okay, one abstention. Moving to the
No
second.
extension.
No.
5-0.
Huh?
5 yeas.
Whoever voted aye.
There was 5 votes.
It's the first part of it, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to the second part of it.
So the second motion would need to be to approve the proposed 2025 operating schedules for both the Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard routes covering the period May 13th, 2025 through January 4th, 2026 as presented.
Okay,
So moved.
motion made to approve.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? If none, roll. Jones, aye, and I'll just add that this is probably one of the hardest votes that, that we as a board take because we don't want to look at the amount of traffic, the mainland, and you look at the amount of traffic that everything that leaves the mainland goes to the islands and they suffer the same ills. And they have a 5:30. Isn't anything we want or like, but I'm voting in favor of it as I have consistently.
Malcolm and I.
Jeffrey, no.
Okay, more,
Aye.
it is approved. Moving forward.
All right, so next item is the proposed license for 41 North Offshore LLC. So back at the end of October of 2023, the authority received a letter from 41 North detailing its proposal to seek the terms of their license agreement, tug and barge freight service between New Bedford and Nantucket. In part of that request was they also were seeking to add service to Martha's Vineyard. Following the receipt of that, the staff had concerns about the scheduling availability in Martha's Vineyard. We sought public comments through the last week of April of this year. And we had a hearing at the administrative offices that was conducted on Wednesday, April 24th. As previously reported, 41 North is a freight barge service, and therefore there was no impact to passenger-only service provided by the other authorities. Alternatively, 41 North Freight Service, we're looking at their proposal during the seasonally that service be able to utilize Oak Bluff's terminal, provided that none of the trucks weigh more than in June, staff attended the Oak Bluff Select Board meeting to provide its members with additional information regarding the service, and Mr. Nikotowicz, who was on the Zoom here, also attended. They had some concerns at last month's meeting. The Oak Bluff Select Board Chair provided a letter outlining the concerns that the town had, particularly with regards to pedestrian and vehicular traffic in the afternoon hour. 41 North submitted a revised proposal which would limit their service to only one to address those concerns. At the Port Council meeting back on August 6th, approval of 41 North's license agreement Vineyard through 2026, subject to the criteria of at least a 24-hour notice of a trip to the authority, staging the vehicles on the authority's property, and the opportunity to revisit the license request on a 3 months notice with a maximum of a single trip per day. So staff is, for the above reasons, staff is recommending that the 41 North's request to amend its current license to provide a freight-only service between New Bedford and Martha's Vineyard through December 2026. That this should be directed seasonally during the summer to the authority's Oak Bluff terminal. No more than 80,000 pounds. And adhere to the terms and conditions that the authority payment of appropriate and reasonable license and dockage fees as outlined in the staff summary. So, and as I pointed out at the Port Council meeting, we did receive a request from Tisbury Towing for a license request, and we'll be taking that up at future meetings. We'll have to advertise that service, that potential service as well. So,
Okay, could I get a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to concur with the conditions and approval as presented, just presented. But I do have a question once the motion has been made and seconded.
I can't
I'll
even.
second.
I have a question. I'd like to make the motion, but I do have a question after the motion has been made and seconded.
Fine.
I'll
So you
second the
made
motion.
I have made the motion.
To approve.
Yes.
Okay.
And
With the conditions as specified in the Port Council's recommendation to us.
We can add that, yeah, but,
and I'll second.
Peter seconded.
yes, go ahead. Let me get it on the floor first.
He's second.
Who did?
Peter did.
Okay, so I didn't hear it. Thanks, Peter. Go ahead.
I think
Jim.
it's me.
Huh?
It's Jim.
I have a question. It's
It's made and seconded. Somebody else wanna?
It's been made and seconded, and now it's open for discussion.
That's what we're doing.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And I received, and I think the management and the board received a letter from attorney representing Tisbury Towing. Not want to get. I think they were asserting, and Terrence, correct me if I'm wrong, that they currently have a license to do what it is 41 North is proposing to do. And I think then they were asking that we not allow 41 North to do. So question is, does Tisbury Towing have a, number one, am I reading that correctly? Terrence, you've read the letter, I assume.
Until today.
Okay.
And so I haven't given a thorough vetting. I shared it with my other staff members. I think it came in either Thursday or Friday of last week.
Something like that.
So I would, again, I was out on vacation yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to fully vet it. The position would be that the order of the Superior Court regarding the former litigation would dictate what Tisbury Towing can and cannot do. My understanding is that they bring bulk cargo and modular homes and the like over onto to their property and then offload it. Obviously, that's not going to change, and there's no intent to change that. The issue there was bringing over private passenger vehicles and the like, which would typically go on the Steamship Authority or commercial freight trucks. And again, it would be our position, as it was in that litigation, that would need to be licensed. Exactly what the attorney wrote to me. And I will do that, but I just haven't had an opportunity to do that.
Okay, and Bob has said then that they've submitted a request for a license and we're putting that into.
But in terms of that, there's no limitations on how many licenses the board chooses to want to issue, so they're independent of one another.
Yeah, the motion before us is, and on the agenda is dealing with 41 North only. There may be other, testimony later if they make application, but we'll handle that when it comes before us. So is there a second?
No, we made and seconded.
It's made in second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Roll call. Jones, aye.
Malcolm, aye.
Jeffrey, I.
Tierney, I.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Jonah, for being so patient.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. Annual salary increase for non-union personnel. Who's up?
I'm going to turn that over to council.
It's going to be me. Just grab my notes. Let me just grab my notes here. So back on at their meeting on June 20th, the board, in reviewing the non-union employee compensation for 2024, the board voted to approve the non-union performance wage and salary increase program as proposed by staff, which essentially was a 5% increase for non-union employees. But during that discussion, they also coupled that if the weighted average of the settled labor agreements that we're currently negotiating with our bargaining units exceeds 5%, then the non-union employees shall see a further adjustment to match that weighted average. And so following that vote, it was brought to my attention and about the potential legal complications of coupling the non-union employee wage increases with the negotiated wage increases for the bargaining units. And the idea is that, first of all, myself and a number of other senior staff are involved in the in those and as such, it puts us in a potentially unethical position where we're potentially negotiating our own financial interest in those discussions. So that was one issue that we raised as a red flag. Was under Massachusetts labor law, the coupling of the one bargaining unit with another employment group potentially, and I want to stress that, is potentially unlawful. And, to avoid that, and again, it was raised on a number of times when we were across the table in the bargaining with the other groups. And, essentially, hey, you're negotiating for yourselves. And, that raises a concern. So after vetting it with outside counsel and
looking at the case law and looking at some of the Department of Labor Relations cases, the recommendation from myself and the rest of the bargaining group is to eliminate that or rescind that portion of the vote, which will then free us up to just deal with the non-union compensation to itself without coupling, so that we don't have this specter of, unfair dealing and so forth. So that's the recommendation as we set forth in the what we're asking the members to consider is a vote to rescind that portion of their June 2024 vote concerning non-union employee compensation and wages increases that states, but if the weighted average of the settled labor agreements exceeds the 5% increase, non-union employees shall see a further adjustment to match that average. And so that's what we're asking for today.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion from the board to rescind that?
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Peter, go ahead.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I wish we would have thought that through or at the time. I'm in favor, obviously, of rescinding that so we don't have a conflict of interest. But at the same time, my concern at the time was that our compensation for our non-bargaining personnel was too low, especially since they didn't get raises during the COVID years. And so rather than just taking the recommendation of staff to rescind that portion of the motion, I would prefer to rescind that portion of the motion and amend it to include a further 5% increase for non-bargaining unit staff salaries, excluding senior staff.
Yes, Peter, could you make a motion to rescind?
So my motion would
You
be
make
to
a motion to rescind the previous acts.
I would make a motion to rescind, but then also to increase non-bargaining unit personnel wages by a further 5%, excluding senior staff. That would be my motion.
What I'd like to do is bifurcate that and take the second part of the wage package of 5%. So if we can just rescind the first part.
I will do that because I know that we need to do that legally. So yes, I will make a motion to rescind so long as we can discuss my second motion.
We will. But the motion is made. Is there a second, please?
Second.
It's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Rob?
Randy, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, aye.
Jeffrey, aye.
Kearney abstain.
Okay, it is passed. Moving forward, could I get a motion to approve the labor package as presented by staff?
I think it'd be Peter had another motion that he wanted to provide. The only motion that the staff was looking for was to rescind the previous vote.
We just did.
Yes.
We're going now to the package. Is anybody confused? We rescinded the previous motion.
I thought we just rescinded the language about the weighted average moving forward, but the 5% was portion of the motion was remained. Is my understanding correct? Or did we rescind the entire vote from the last June meeting?
If somebody wants to reword that, the motion, the previous motion, and that's it. And then take the second part of what our wage recommendations are. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, the portion of the vote that was taken on June 20th pertained to the second portion of that, in which tied further compensation for non-union personnel to collective bargaining. So that's the only portion, I believe, that Mr. Jeffries was moving to rescind just that portion of that vote. So the previous vote to authorize the non-union personnel wage adjustments would still stand based on the June 20th vote. Now,
That was the intent of my motion. Yes.
Yes. And now I believe Mr. Jeffries wants to make a further motion regarding any additional compensation.
Go ahead, Peter.
Correct. So my motion would be that we further increase non-bargaining unit personnel wages by an additional 5%, excluding senior leadership.
Okay, it's moved. Is there a second? Is there a second?
So that was the move.
Yes, that was the move.
Okay. Any discussion? Board, Rob,
Randy?
Peter,
I'm
Maura?
sorry, you paused out. I got, are we taking a vote on my motion?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and I didn't hear anyone else's vote, but obviously I made the motion, so I'll vote yes and wait to hear what everyone else said. You can summarize. So Jeffrey, aye.
I'm going to include that in our motion here as Maura.
Could you hear the other, I couldn't hear the other votes, so could you
Okay.
just
Yeah,
run
so-
those down?
So, thus.
I can't
along
hear
with
you,
Peter
you're
have-
freezing. Can you start again? You're freezing.
Yeah, at this point, there's four votes to approve the proposal.
Aye.
Was that an aye?
That was an aye.
Okay.
All right. Are we through? It has been approved unanimously. Moving forward. Welcome aboard.
Okay, so we got the business summary for the month of June. And I'll be brief on this. Us combined for the month of June, we're up just over 15,000 passengers, or 4.8%. Year to date, we're up 1.6%, or just under 19,000 passengers. Point of interest is in June. Year we had 8, and we're expecting some of these numbers in these categories to reverse next month, because July will have 10 in 2023 compared to 8 in 2024. Passenger vehicles carried were up 3%, or 1,500 passengers on the Vineyard route. On the Nantucket route, we're down 6% at just under 500 cars, and that's mainly attributed to the schedule changes. So year to date, we're down. Freight vehicles for the month of June for both routes combined, and again, this is all one-way traffic. We're up 1.1%, or 105 vehicles. Year to date, we're up 0.7%, or 363 vehicles for both routes combined. Cars parked mirroring the passengers for the month, we're up 6.5%, or just under 1,300 vehicles. Vehicles with the Vineyard route up 9.5%, and the Nantucket route down 100 cars. Trip summary for the month of June. Weather, 4 for traffic and 60 for crewing. And that crewing, that is a direct correlation of the change in the schedule of the Sankaty not running, those 60 trips there. On the Nantucket route for the month of June, we had 0 mechanical trips, 0 weather, 0 traffic, and 78 for crewing. The INO missing that last trip, so there's 18 trips that were missed because of crewing shortages. Yep. Okay, financial snapshot for the month of June. We had operating revenue 150,000 versus budget. Other income was up 162,000. We had operating expenses of 11.2 million, which was we had a net operating income for the month of 5.5 million, which was $627,000 above budget. And we also had capital grants for the So far through the work with the CCRTA, we've received about 12.9 million in grant funds for this project so far. So looking at operating revenues, every category for the month of June we're up, and we're expecting to see that change in July. Expecting revenue in July to be down about $1 million based on the way the weekends changes. So year to date, we're looking at our operating revenue down about 307. Operating expenses, fuel was down 165,000 or 14.5%. We came in at 298 a gallon versus a budget of 330. Year to date, our operating expenses are down about 1.7. Some of that is timing, some of it and then depreciation, that's due to some of the projects originally expected to come online earlier than what they did. Down 13,000 passengers at 3.1% for the month of July. Year to date, though, we are still up over 5,600 passengers. Vehicles, including freight vehicles, were down 5.6% of 4,500 vehicles for the month of July, or 13,000 vehicles year to date for both routes combined. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Go ahead, Jim.
Given seasonality and expense cycles, how comfortable are you for this year's budget?
I expect about $1 million loss in July, looking at with the ridership and differential for the crew, the vehicles on the Nantucket run with the change in the vessel for revenue for the year. The only outside is pension, but outside of that.
Thank you.
Just a quick question for me. With the assumption that we're going to eventually pass the new labor and contracts that we've been negotiating on, with the union and things like that. I'm curious as to if we approve it as we don't know where it's at. Negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the overall expense?
Yeah, I'm working on that right now with next year's budget. I can say this, and following up to Mr. Jeffrey's question from last month, we are going to see we're going to see fair adjustments for next year, and looking at the cost of the labor agreements, the IT investment we're making, and the maintenance expenses I've seen coming in the preliminary budget. I don't see many categories that would not be subject to a fair adjustment for next year.
Yeah. Also that, we're eliminating trips, which is also, a huge deficit. Once the bargaining unit and the board agrees upon their contract, retroactive, we haven't or will it be when it would, once upon approval, that the clock starts ticking? We start with those budgets.
I think in terms of that, those are, those are discussions that we'd be having with the different bargaining groups and the board during executive session.
No, I understand that, but I'm just looking here at what the impact at some time, even regardless how they come out, is what the impact is going to be on our budget, and would that affect our budget?
So as speaking as the former treasurer, I know that we always take into account don't always have a settled labor agreement or an agreement's going to be expiring. So, discussions with Mark, he's on top of that, and he'll be working to try to when he does have a budget to present, that it'll be reasonable within the expectations of where any labor agreements would be.
Well, that's a good slide, Mike. Expect a question coming.
And then going back to your question on the vehicle capacity. A vehicle capacity for the Woods Hole run with the 4 boats compared to what was originally scheduled for of capacity, so you're not seeing a change there. With the new vessels on the run for next year, triple crewed, you'll expect to see about a 4% roughly increase in approved, and that'll go to what's capacity to what's currently operating for the
Any further questions for Mark? Thank you as always.
Thank you.
Moving forward. Okay, I guess we're into procurement. Or is results from operations? Is that
That was what he just.
okay? Into procurement. Who's handling procurement?
That will be me. So first, we want to request the members authorize the general manager to award contract number 09 overhaul services for the MV Woods Hole to the lowest eligible and responsible bidder, which was Thames Shipyard and Repair Company of New London, Connecticut, for a total contract price of $1,251,236. The MV Woods Hole is scheduled to enter shipyard availability January 10th of 2025 through February 17th to undergo its required Coast Guard hull exam, rudders, propellers, shaft maintenance, coating maintenance, and on the underwater and superstructure, to also blast and coat the void areas and portable water tanks. There's a rub rail structural steel repair that needs to be done. As you may recall, there was some damage done to the rub rail earlier this year. The bow thruster maintenance and the fire main and freight door maintenance. Specifications and drawings were sent to 13 shipyards. We had 2 responsive bids. And we're seeking to for authorization for the general manager to award contract number 09-2024 dry dock and overhaul services for the MV Woods Hole to the lowest eligible responsible bidder, Thames Shipyard and Repair Company of New London, Connecticut, for a total contract price of $1,251,236.
Has to be acted upon. I'd like to receive a motion to move forward with the overhaul services for the MV. Motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call vote.
Randy, I.
Jones, aye.
Malk and I.
Jeffrey, I.
It's got a hand up.
That's
Huh? Oh, somebody else has a hand up. Get your hand down, son. Okay.
You may have stepped away.
Yeah, well, just make note that Maura was not present, but it's been approved by a 4 to 5 vote.
Getting texts from people who are participating, listening in remotely, that we're still breaking up. They're hearing less than 10%, sorry, they're hearing 90% or so of what's being said.
I've checked with FCTV and with Tim Reynolds. The internet here is working, so I think that the problem must be with the Zoom platform. There's no adjustments that we can make to our system.
That's been my experience throughout the whole meeting, just to let you know.
As you break up while you're telling us that, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to emphasize my
Okay.
point.
A closer look at this because, even in this room, I can't hear. And as I say, that's my fault. these things don't. And, you know, when I was sitting back there, in the Port Council meeting, I couldn't hear anything that was going on up here.
We didn't have amplified sound during the Port Council meeting, so it's a different setup than this, but to your point, I mean, FCTV and our staff have looked at everything they can adjust, and there's nothing we can do as far as the Zoom connection, unfortunately.
Well,
So we'll reconsider
it's
moving
just-
forward. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, okay. All right, Bob?
All right, so next item is a request for the members to authorize the general manager to award contract number 10-2024. Fabricate, deliver, and installation of transfer bridges, gallows, catwalks at the Vineyard Haven Terminal to the lowest eligible responsible bidder, AGM Marine Contractors of New Bedford, Mass, for a total contract price of $1,738,000. The authority requested that the Martha's Vineyard Transportation Improvement Plan be amended to include this project for construction of the two new vehicle transfer bridges, the gallows counterweights, and the related equipment. Following the required notice period, the Martha's Vineyard TIP was amended to include the project. In September of last year, the authority received the necessary NEPA permits for the project, and then subsequent to that, received the agreements with the Federal Highway Administration and drawings and specifications were sent to 15 vendors. 3 responsive bids were received. And so we're seeking to have the authorization to award contract number 10-2024, fabricate, deliver, and installation of transfer bridges, gallows, and catwalks at the Vineyard Haven Terminal to the lowest eligible and responsible bidder, AGM Marine Contractors, Inc. of New Bedford, Mass, for a total contract price of $1,738,000. As part of this, there's some federal highway funds that the authority was awarded that we'll be using to offset that. So 80% of this will be subject to the grants that we have. And this is similar to the one that we that was awarded previously for the for Nantucket, which will they're being fabricated, and we're making plans to replace those ones over in Nantucket.
Okay, this is going to require a vote. Could I have a motion to approve or award the contract to 10-2024 replacement of transfer bridges?
Second.
Motion's approved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor with a roll call, starting with Rob?
Randy, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Jeffrey,
So approved. Not Morris, evidently not with us right now. Okay, Bob.
All right, next is a request that the members authorize the general manager to approve change order number CC 0-150B under contract 19-2022A, which is the motor vessel conversion, freight deck extension, associated machinery modifications, dry docking and overhaul services for the MV Barnstable at Alabama Shipyard LLC. Contract price of $139,179. The current conversion of the MV Barnstable, the Steamship Authority was required to modify the existing CO2 vessel as a result of us adding the subdivision bulkheads at frame number 62. The modification was discovered in plan review at the piping system with the required replacement. In addition, various release valves are found to be defective and required for the general manager to approve change order number CC 0-150B under contract number 19-2022A for the MV $1,179.
Okay, could I receive a motion to approve that CCO 150B for the Barnstable and 2022 for the Alabama, at the Alabama shipyard. Could I get a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion is made.
Second.
Any further?
Randy, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Jeffrey, I.
So approved. Morris doesn't appear to be with us anymore. Moving forward.
All right, so in this case, it's a request to authorize the general manager to approve change order CC 0-146A under contract 19-2022B, which is for the motor vessel conversion, freight deck extension, associated machinery modifications, dry dock and overhaul services for the MV Aquina with Alabama Shipyard for a total contract price of $153,266. Again, similar to the Barnstable, following review, the existing CO2 is found that this existing CO2 fire suppression system needs to be modified as a result of the addition of the bulkhead that was added. And so we're seeking authorization to execute change order CC 0-146A under contract number 19-2022B for the MV Aquina for a total contract $66.
Okay, a motion to approve contract CCO 146A.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Randy, I.
Jones. Peter.
I'm sorry, you paused out. Aye. Jeffrey, I.
Okay, it's you approved with moving forward, Vaughn.
All right. Manager to execute purchases of vessel automation parts and services for the MV Monomoy under PO 00352 of Alexandria, Virginia, for a total contract price of $181,350.10. During the current conversion of the MV Monomoy at the Alabama Shipyard, the Steamship Authority intends to upgrade the existing automation and control systems installed on to be United States Coast Guard compliant parts suitable for periodic unattended operations of the engine room. The parts and service will upgrade the original automation equipment to be compliant with those new regulations. On the staff summary, the price includes the engineering, labor, travel time, and commissioning of the equipment. So we're seeking authorization to execute purchases of the vessel automation parts and services for the MV Monomoy under PO 0035204 with Trident Marine Systems of Alexandria, Virginia, for a total contract price of $181,350. The original staff summary for this. This was something that was included in the owner furnished equipment that we had identified. So it's not, we knew this was something we were going to be doing, and we had included it as part of that.
Okay. Could I get a motion to approve P 35204?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Randy, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Jeffrey, I.
So approved. Moving forward.
Okay, one more. So we're seeking a request a vote to authorize the general manager to execute PO 0032836 for labor and equipment to overhaul one MTU 12V 4000 M70 engine as per quotation MAB-DT v. Ino with Stewart and Stevenson's LLC of Marlborough, Mass. For a total contract price of $262,210. The overhaul services include the cleaning and assembly of the turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, lube oil pumps, cylinder heads, liners, pistons, conrods, crankshafts, bearings, and other miscellaneous parts that the authority would be providing. Upon the completion, the engine will be tested on a dynamometer at Stewart and Stevenson's Florida facility, and the workmanship will carry a 90-day warranty. So this is something that we would be doing, we've done in-house in the past, but we've also on occasion had Stewart and Stevenson do it. And just looking at our staffing levels and projects that are ongoing at our maintenance facility, we feel it's necessary to have this engines, this block sent out and have it put together. So we're seeking authorization for the general manager to execute PO 0032836 for labor and equipment to overhaul one MTU 12V 4000 M70 engine as per quotation MAB-DT-24-08 for the MVINO with Stewart and Stevenson LLC of Marlborough, Mass. for a total contract price of $262,210. And as part of this, I think the upcoming repair schedule calls for us to be doing overhauls on the engines on, I forget which pontoon. Whether
1 and 3 and then 2 and 4.
yeah, so with the idea being is that with the new crate engine that we have, and then this engine, we'd be able to swap out 2 engines at a time and then overhaul those 2 engines and be ready to go.
Okay, I'd like a motion to approve 32,836 to rehaul the 12V 4000 M70 on the INO. So
Second.
moved and seconded. Is there a discussion? All in favor? Roll call.
Manny, I.
Jones, aye.
Malk and I.
Jeffrey, I.
Thank you so much. Okay, we got new and I have one thing that I want to bring up is I want to get this workshop scheduled. And it's just an idea. You know, I want to make it real. So, and as soon as we can. So, other than that, I don't have anything. Does anybody else have anything? There's no new or old business from the staff. Okay. It looks like we're at public comment. Is there anybody in the public who'd like to speak? Please, online, raise your hand, and we'll take you.
Mary.
Thank you. This is Mary Longacre on Nantucket. I wanted to remind the Steamship Authority Board of Nantucket's Long-Range Transportation Plan, which was adopted a year ago in August. At the time, I was chair of the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission, who was in charge of this plan. Regarding the Steamship Authority, public input collected as part of this plan's development documented a need of residents to better access the Steamship Authority's vehicle ferry. Concerns included limited ability to secure reservations and affordability of the service. These and other concerns are shared with SSA representatives as they complete development of a strategic plan for their operations. I want to contrast that with Mr. Jeffrey's comments quoted in the Cape Cod Times on August 14th, where he says, "I think the traveling public would rather have fewer trips with certainty than more trips, but not knowing if it's going to go." Fewer trips means higher prices, as was just pointed out in your meeting. Higher prices is not something that's in the best interests of Nantucket residents, especially given that the schedule disproportionately reduces trips to Nantucket. I want to make sure that Mr. Jeffrey understands that when he is speaking to the public or the media, he should be representing the entire Steamship Authority Board, not simply the parochial viewpoint of Falmouth residents. I think it is a disservice when he says many people in Falmouth and Vineyard commute back and forth each day, shopping, going to medical appointments. It really is a commuter service and not just a tourist service between the Vineyard and Falmouth. It is neither a commuter service nor a tourist service. It is a lifeline service. The purpose of the Steamship Authority is to make life possible on the islands. And it is very distressing when a board member completely ignores that mission of the Steamship Authority. So I wanted to bring those comments to light, make sure that you are understanding that the Nantucket residents do not want less service. We do not want more expensive service. We really need better service. I appreciate all the challenges the Steamship Authority is facing, and I understand that management is doing the best that they can with the opportunities that they have, but I'm very distressed when a board member speaks publicly in this manner. Thank you.
Okay, any other hands?
Christine?
Yes, hi, good morning. Thank you. My name is Christine Todd, and as a resident of Oak Bluffs, Martha's Vineyard for 24 years, an elected official, chair of the Dukes County Commissioners, and the appointing body of our steamship representative, I am inundated with concerned voices of our citizenship regarding the ongoing and ever-increasing problems with the reliability of the steamship transportation. I'm often being asked now, what are you doing about it as our appointing authority? I am at a loss for words, as I have seen very little movement in a positive direction that I may justify with an improvement of service. I'd like to state that the reservation staff has been professional, patient, and productive in any dealings I have had with them. The ship's crews have also performed well under increasingly challenging trip delays and cancellations. And if I may, my fellow Commissioner Doug Ruskin unfortunately had to leave this meeting, but has asked me to state his concerns, if I may. So with your permission, I'd like to read his thoughts.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Doug Ruskin, a West Tisbury resident and county commissioner. I have a direct question for the general manager and the board as a whole, but for some context. In 2018, Martha's Vineyard experienced some of the worst Steamship Authority service up to that point, when 3 ferries were out of service simultaneously for weeks. There were many complaints at the time, culminating in an outside opinion to the Steamship Authority recommending many corrective actions. Some of those actions have been adopted, others not. Notably, the recommendation to hire a chief operating officer was ignored, despite the Steamship Authority being an organization where operations is the entire business. This year, I'm sorry.
If I may, the statement is, we're only getting bits and pieces of it, so.
Well, that's another issue here, is the connectivity, which I will get to. Okay.
Christine, could I ask you to mail that to us, email it?
Yes, I certainly may do that, but I have one more request, and hopefully you can hear me better. I feel that over my career, well, here's mine. I respectfully request that the appointing authorities of the steamship representatives be invited to attend future steamship board meetings in person. It is difficult to follow the entirety of this meeting with the
Excuse
staff.
me, Christine, I hate to say it, but you're broken up here. We can't understand you. Would you, if you put it in writing, we will get it. And thank you for your comments.
And I'll add it to the record in a minute.
Yes, we'll add it to the records of the minutes, so thank you.
Okay.
Christine and other people who are listening in, what we're told here is that the issue of connectivity, the Zoom platform.
Outside of our control.
Okay, but in this area, because we've had people running around with wires trying to fix it.
Good, thank you. Okay.
Catherine, are you there?
I am. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to say that while I missed Mr. Malkin's most recent comment about the conductivity, I believe that you may have come very close to not meeting the requirements for a remote participation meeting because of so much of the conductivity issues that happened during this meeting. These are unusual issues. I understand that the meeting room was breaking up. I saw the participants breaking up. This is not something that may be under your control, but I think it is something that you need to address moving forward, whether it's with other internet conductivity, but it's a problem for those of us who cannot be there in person.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? If not, I'm going to read a statement. We will be going into executive session.
Did I see that for a second?
What did you want?
Your statement.
I got it.
Yeah, I need to.
Make note that the general manager edited my comments. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss and approve the minutes of the authorities meeting in executive session on June 20th of 2024 and on July 16th of 2024. And to review the authority's strategy with respect to the collective bargaining negotiation and contract negotiations with non-union employees, because a public discussion of these matters may be detrimental to the effect of the authority's negotiating and bargaining position. These matters include anticipated ongoing negotiation with the Teamsters Union, Local 59, SEIU Local 888, and MEBA District Number 1 PCD. In discussion with respect to the tentative collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Union Local 59 governing the terms and conditions of employment of the Steamship Authority's maintenance employees, scratch. The public disclosure of any information with respect to these matters would compromise the purpose for which this executive session is being called. After the inclusion of the executive session, we will not convene back in public. May I have a motion?
So moved.
It's moved. Is there a second? Good. May I have a roll call vote?
Randy, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Jeffrey, I.
Thank you. It is approved for coming.
Peter, if you want to sign off, we'll sign back in about 5 minutes.
Okay, we will do.